Welcome back to Life Without Secrets. You're about to hear an amazing story of overcoming adversity and achieving success as we dive into the incredible journey of our guest, Yamu Camara. Yamu grew up in a small village in West Africa, facing profound loss and hardship. Despite these challenges, she broke free from poverty and built a thriving real estate business. And today we're going to explore how she did it, from her first real estate purchase to managing a seven-figure portfolio today. Get ready to be inspired by Yamu's story, learning from her struggles and discovering the secrets and strategies she used to achieve financial freedom. Let's welcome Yamu, a CDC data scientist and real estate enthusiast whose journey will leave you motivated and ready to pursue your own success. Yamu, welcome to Life Without Secrets.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm
Oh my
excited.
goodness. I am so excited to have you on. I honestly, this is an honor. Your story is just remarkable, truly. And I just feel honored to be able to share it with our listeners and know where you came from, where you started, and obviously all of the things that you've accomplished in your life is just so incredible and know will be so inspiring for other people going, hey, like I learned so much, I can do something similar. So I would love for us to start go back in time for a little bit and just learn. I want to learn about your journey from a small village in West Africa. Managing a seven-figure real estate it's you know profound. So can you take us back to the beginning and
Of
kind of
course.
share what life was like growing up in your village?
Of course. Well, thank you guys for having me. My name is Yamundao. Americans cannot say it. My friends call me Yamu, so I say, just call me Yamu. When they try to break it down Yamundu, I'm like, no, it's Yamu. Just call me Yamu for short. Because my friends call me Yamu, and my close family, everyone call me Yamu. So it's easier to go with Yamu, but it's Yamundao. It's an African name. I'm from West Africa. It's in the Gambia. It's a coastal country, small population, a lot of villages. So in Africa, we grew up in villages and in compounds. So it's mostly like, okay, if you have five cousins, all of them get married, two, three wives. All of us live in one extended big family. It's like a compound. So it ends up
Mm,
having 50 or 60 people, so many kids running around.
yeah.
But it's all the one family, the same last name. So when you go to another village to another family, it's like you don't belong here. So
Mm.
yeah, so I lost my mom when I was 2 and my dad when I was 11. So
Oh,
my
wow.
sister, first for us, we get married early, and most of the time you're betrothed already. So when you were born, you already know. Everybody know you're gonna be marrying this person. So you already assigned basically a husband, a spouse.
Wow.
So, yeah, so my sister had to get married early. When my mom died, my elder sister, I'm the last of 7. So my parents had multiple kids,
Mhm.
and my sister had to get married, so she had to take me and my brother, who's like 4 or 5 years older than me, and my dad was really sick. Of course, we were really poor, and
Mhm.
we had to move with my sister to her extended family home, like her husband's extended family. We were abused a lot because we didn't belong, and because of the abuse, well, now that I know what it is, I used to pee in bed a lot. So I'll pee in
Oh,
bed, and I wasn't allowed to lay on the bed. And this is poverty, like I'm sleeping on the floor, like floor, not like concrete or like this is
yeah.
a for those of you who doesn't know how African village look like, go Google it. It's an African village, typical village. You see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I wasn't allowed to sleep on the bed. So there were beds, right? But it's mostly for the guests when they come because people come and go in different villages. So when you're traveling, some come to do selling stuff, goods and services. So they would stay there and I'll just leave sleep on the beds. So my brother was abused a lot, but because he's a boy, he's always out of the house, playing boy stuff. A girl, I have to do domestic work and all that,
Mhm.
cleaning, cooking, all that stuff at age 8, 9, 10. So I sleep in bed, and what I will do is when I pee in when I wake up after I'm trying so hard not to cry, but
Yeah.
I'm going through therapy. But yeah, sometimes I still break down and cry. But I'll go to the shopkeeper nearby and I'll get boxes, like, the moving boxes you guys use here when you're moving. And I'll
Yeah.
just cut them and weave them together. So I'll sleep on them. So in
Oh,
the morning, I'll wake up and throw them in the trash. So that's what I'll sleep with. I'll have a lot of bugs beating me, crawling. That's why I don't like crawly things.
oh
Sometimes
no.
I'll wake up at night. Like this is an 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old girl. and I'll just take a torchlight. I'll take batteries from the trash and try to charge the batteries under the sun. So at night I'll have some little light. So I'll just take that in the night, and when the bugs are unbearable, and I'll just kill them on the wall. Some of them from my skin and all of that. So
Mm.
that was my life. Yeah, that was my life. But one thing God always blessed me with is education. I was good at school. So for us, school is for a female child. School is like, oh, just go until like, oh, because the government is saying, put your female kids to school, put the female child to school. So they're like, oh, let them go to school. From when they get to grade 6, anyways, when they meet puberty, they're gonna get married anyway. So it's not like a thing for success.
Do the boys go to school too or no?
The boys go to school too, but they can go all
Okay.
the way up because they can marry
Oh.
anytime. Anytime
Oh.
you can get married. But for us, there's a certain time your husband is gonna come asking for his wife because you're already betrothed, remember? So for me, everybody was expected for every girl child in the village to stop at grade 6 and go get married. So by grade 6, most of my peers are already married. But for me, I was good in school and I was getting scholarships for international organization, nonprofit, because my country is colonized by the British. So we have like people from the UK, universities coming to the U schools, sponsorships, like all that kind of stuff. And there's a nonprofit organization in the UK called Muslim Hands and United for the Needy. So they sponsor orphan girls and orphan kids that are doing good in school. So I got that scholarship, and I kept going and I kept going. So after they're like, oh, she's taking first, not in the school alone, but in the region, right?
Wow.
Like I'm on the news, I'm getting more scholarship, I'm being pushed. So my auntie will always vouch me and say, and tell, well, we're not paying for anything. Like let her just go. And her husband who can marry a second wife and then she can be third or whatever when he's ready. So like more like, oh, what is he losing? He's gonna get an educated wife at the end of the day.
Right.
Not pay any money, basically. So that was her strategy to help me put. That was my mom's sister. She let her pass away, may her soul rest.
Oh.
And my sister will also like get some loans for books because the scholarship doesn't cover everything. So like extra stuff that the scholarship covers, she would take loans and sell some stuff and help me out. So but that's how I was going from
Wow.
school, from high school, they were like, no, she's ready to get married now. All her peers are having 2 kids, 3 kids. She's here. What is a girl child with school and stuff? My auntie was like, well, she got a full scholarship from the government. She got all these good grades from high school. She went to the best high school through scholarship. Let her just finish this and he can go get married. So we
Yeah.
negotiated that and he went and got married to another his first.
First wife.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then I was gonna come later. My goal when I get to university was they were like, "What is a goal with university?" But I was in the news, I got a scholarship, so that was kind of thinking for them too. So they're like, "Oh, I guess it's not that bad." So that's how it was. Like I don't have any say. My auntie had a say because she was older than the uncles. The men have the say than the women. So that's how
Wow.
when I kept going university, I got a pastoral scholarship. My goal was to get out. I was like, if I can get out, I can get out of this. And that's
Yeah, I mean, that was kinda like a question I had, like, because you face, like, a lot of loss, and then it's interesting because you were looking at your situation, and it's almost like you knew you didn't want that, and you knew you wanted something else. So, like, from being an orphan and then to just reaching for the stars in academics, how did these experiences and these hardships really shape your outlook on life and your determination to succeed?
yeah,
Did you feel like that motivated you to do better in school?
yes. So at home, the abuse is not just physical, there's sexual abuse as well.
Mhm.
For me, it was like I get outside of my body most of the
Wow.
time. So I'm like writing,
Dissociate.
I want to buy a house, I want to do this.
Yeah.
So like when I started going to the school in the city is when I saw. So my country is more like who you're connected to. So the richer kids are connected to the government because their parents work for the government stuff. So they all the good stuff stop right there. So I'm
Mm.
seeing the kids and I'm like, I want to be like this. How you guys have houses? You have nice toilet. You have a
Yeah.
bed. So for me, it was like, I want a bed when I grow up. I want a
Yeah.
house. What? Bed? No, I even want a house. So those are the kind of things I used to write down when I go to school. I want to make sure I beat those kids. Anyhow, at the
Yeah.
end, I'm like, my goals. I don't want to just take first in the school. I want to take first in the whole region. that's how I'm ever gonna get a scholarship to university. So that was my goal. So at
Mm.
home, I'm abused. Like sometimes I can't even. Not sometimes. Like if I say something like somebody says English wrong or pronounce it wrong, and I try to rectify them, they're like, "Shut up! You think you're a white girl, or you think you're educated, or whatever." It's like a child. It's like the abuse is a lot, like different kind of abuses, right? To give an example, one of the abuses was like, oh, if you want barely before 13, there's like, oh, if you want to embarrass a girl, somebody who's peace in bed, you can just do this. So what they did was call all the kids my age in the village, and some in the morning, strip me naked, and gave some of the kids, most of the kids, broomstick, and gave some of them, I'm gonna cry, some of the kids water. So some of them would splash me water, and some of them would beat me. At the end of the day, I had, if you don't know African brooms, you can Google it, but it's like it's from the palm tree, so it has this spike stuff. So it was all on my
Oh,
skin, like where
oh my goodness.
that was a way to embarrass me to stop peeing. So all of
Oh,
that happened
that's
and more. Some
terrible.
of the things I don't want to say in the podcast because, yeah, I'm trying so hard not to cry, but that happened. So for me, when I go to school, oh, that's the smart girl, right? Because the school don't know about, so the teachers love me. The principals want to show me off. Like they want to show me up and say, that's the girl that's going to take our school name.
Mhm.
So when I go to school, I'm that girl. When I come to school, when I come from school, I'm a different person. So
Wow.
I always wanted to get out. I was like, there's more out there. Like when I go to school, I'm loved. Everything that I wanted, like everything, the attention, the love, I'm getting it outside. So I'm like,
Yeah,
there's
so you
more.
learned to love school then. That was your escape. That is
That was my
wow.
excuse.
And
Yeah.
scholarships played such a crucial role, I feel like, in your journey. Can you share, like, how were you able to secure these opportunities and how did they actually, like, basically impact your whole life trajectory, it seems?
So I don't take charity lightly. That's why even now,
Yeah.
being where I am right now, giving back those shoes that you give at school or your parent give out, I don't take it lightly because sometimes I go to school with no shoes. The teacher would just buy me shoes for
Mm,
uniform. That's why now giving back makes me happy. So I'm so sorry.
no, no, we're here for it.
But
I
those
I wish we were
scholarships,
in person so that I could hug you, though.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Those scholarships, they come from people from the school. Some
Yeah.
parents, like my friends, will tell them, "Oh, the girl that takes first," and the parents want to meet me, but they see me and I look totally, uniform worn out, shoes tied up. Sometimes I would take a match, and my shoes would be slippers, and I would just when they cut, I would just take a match and bond the sides and stick them together, or take a string and tie them just to go to school. So sometimes the teachers will buy me uniforms, and if there are extra fees on other things, teacher will give me. But most of the scholarship are from the schools. So like school will hear about a scholarship and
Mhm.
they'll apply on my behalf, and they'll submit my paperwork and stuff. Because I'm started from the village, and the scholarships stay in the city. So the
Yeah.
school's principal will submit on my behalf, and then they will come and meet me and interview me and say, "Well, she's the best candidate or whatever." So that's
Oh,
how,
wow.
because if you're from the village, you don't have any connection to the government, and most of the things that come, opportunities are through the government. And people that work there will just give it to their kids or their cousins or their family members. So people from the village and the down don't get those type of opportunities.
Yeah,
But God
yeah.
always finds a way to, yeah, God always finds a way for me.
A
I'm so
amen. Amen, sister.
sorry.
So, I mean, so you fell in love with school, you excelled academically, you got these scholarships. What did it look like from going from Africa to the United States? Because that was
Yeah.
another scholarship, correct?
Yeah, that was,
Ye
yes. So in university, when I get to university, my auntie and my sister had convinced them, well, he already married another wife. There's no rush. Like he's gonna get a good bride price because she is an educated wife. He's gonna get right. He should be
Right.
proud in his age to have someone like that. So when I went to college, again, my country's colonized by the US. So the scholarships that we get is from the UK, and for the university was a small university. There were not many programs. Most of
Mhm.
the scholars that come, they will come for like 6 months and teach a program and go back. So it's like charity work from UK colleges, college from Germany. So I I everybody, my auntie was like, do be a medical doctor, whatever, be a doctor, because it's like doctor, law,
Yeah.
secretary, all that stuff is the main thing. That's all they know, right?
Well, and
So I'm
that
like,
they want you to come take care of them when you come back, correct? I'm assuming?
yeah, so they were like, be a doctor. I was like, I don't know if I want to be. I mean, I love
Mhm.
chemistry, but I can't stand blood. I was like, I need to
Mhm.
find. So I started with pre-med, and then this program, computer science program, was introduced by a German university to my
Okay.
country, and I was like, I love maths. I'm good at it. This works for me. So I did computer science. And in my final semester, or before my final semester, I got an internship to work for an IT firm in my country. It's one of the biggest IT firm there. Probably maybe two of them at the time, but now they have more. So what happened again? Opportunities. One of my friends that I go to school with, her uncle is connected to the owner. So it's like family stuff. So the person that opened the IT was looking for people. Of course, he's gonna look in his circle, which is the upper circle, right? But
Mhm.
again, God finds a way. So they
Mhm.
they went and interviewed and they got hired. Of course, it was connected already for them. And the boss was like, well, you guys are really good. Do you know somebody? They were like, well, there's a girl in my class. This is like better than us. Like, she's really good. It was like, call her. It's like, she doesn't have a phone number, but we can try to contact her. So they found a way to contact me and call. And they were like, my boss wants to talk to you. You want to come? I said, well, I don't have money to eat. I only have, it's either I eat or I pay fare. They were like, okay, get money from somebody to pay fare to come to that city so you can talk to my boss. So that's what I
Wow.
did. When he gave me some, computer science, some tasks to do, and I did them, and he was like, "You're hired, and you're gonna finish up today." And I was like, "I have class." He said, "Yeah, you can go to class tomorrow, but you're hired. You're amazing." And I was
Wow.
so he hired me as an intern, but it was like he was giving me money for enough money to do transportation to be able to go to school and come and work. So when I graduated, he took me full time. During that semester, I started a nonprofit organization that teaches girls how to code. So that nonprofit organization is like kind of blew up. What they do is I take the used computers from the office, of course with permission, and we just take them. I got some of the guys that I work with to come with me, so we'll go to different cities, different villages, and we teach them IT. So we take a generator and
So
everything.
cool.
There's no electricity, yeah. So we'll do that and we'll just teach them. So it kind of blew up. And there's this program that was organized by the US, founded by President Obama. The US government is called Mandela Washington Fellowship, named after President Mandela of the late Mandela.
Mhm.
And it's like for young African leaders that are doing amazing things. People keep telling me this is good, you should apply for it. I was like, I don't think so. First of all, I don't have internet at home. I only have internet when I get to work, but I'll apply. I was like, well, it's free. Let me just apply. Because I was
Yeah.
like, for amazing community leaders that are doing like, fighting domestic violence, war and stuff. They're
Mhm.
not gonna take an IT girl. But I was like, let me apply. What's gonna go wrong? And I did, and we go to interview at the US Embassy, and I got an email that I'm selected to keep going on the next interview. I was like, okay. And then the next one. And then I got an email from DC saying I got selected, 40,000 applicants. And
Oh, wow.
I have to go do orientation at the US Embassy for when I meet President Obama, what we're gonna do, all that stuff. So yeah, came 20.
So cool. Okay, did you that's just like the coolest story ever. Like I absolutely just love it. I want to know when you were submitting your scholarships, were you telling your own story?
No, I didn't know anything
No.
about storytelling. Because most of the things that happened to me, I felt like I knew as a child or even as an adult, some of them are not
You
normal, but some like I'm
yeah.
not I don't
I
know anything else. That's all
yeah.
I know.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true. And
Yeah.
so it was basically just like facts about you and what you know, and that's how you were able to get in.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
no, I didn't talk about my
yeah.
life or anything. I just talked
Wow.
about academic stuff, and they would ask me questions like, "What are you gonna do? What the impact?" They would focus on the impact that I was doing with the girls, teaching them how to create calculators, create basic IT stuff. That's what they will focus on.
So
Nothing with
cool.
yeah, nothing with
So
this
cool.
stuff. Yeah,
Now, okay, so you get a scholarship to come to the United States. What college did you go to?
Northwestern.
Northwestern University?
Yes.
That is so cool. And then were you scared? Were you scared? Well, and I want to go back because,
Mhm.
you said that the village, they get to kind of decide like what you do. So did you have to ask permission from your village to then come to
Mhm.
the United States? How did that work?
So my auntie has to do. come back again. But when the US,
Okay. I like this girl.
oh yeah,
Auntie.
she
Yes.
I
Amazing.
was here to reap the benefits of like
Oh,
work
she's
and stuff.
watching.
She's amazing. So
Yeah.
she told them, because it was on the news, right? When the US embassy published it, I was on the news. I was on Facebook. Facebook is popular then. Facebook is like everybody's looking at Facebook, newspapers, GRTS news. That's our already. We only have one like a news station, right? So
Yeah.
everybody watches that. There's nothing else to watch. So everybody's seeing me, and every break they show my face. They do that. So everybody's proud. Everybody's coming to my auntie. Oh my god! Like this is new to some of the people too. So it's like, so my auntie basically was enjoying, and my sister, they were enjoying all the braces. Like
Well,
nobody's,
not only that, but I bet there's like so many girls looking at you and finding so much hope
yeah,
and like just a vision for their life. Like, what?
yeah, yeah. So when that happened, of course, the elders saw it too. And the elders, meaning the male sex, male, they were like, well, I guess she can go, but when she come back, then she can give me, or while she's there. So they didn't know while I was applying for that, another opportunity came up. Like my friends keep telling me you should apply for like a program and all of that. So I applied for different master's program for the UK, but I was getting partial scholarship. So like they're paying half of it, and they're like, "How can you not take half scholarship?" I'm like, "Who's gonna pay for the half? I don't even have $200 to my name."
Right, right.
Like this is not gonna work out. So somebody told me maybe check the US since you're applying for this thing that you're going interview for. So I did, and right about the time that I got the Obama fellowship, University of Illinois replied back and said yes, they accepted my admission, which I paid $25 for, something like that, $50 for. One of my friends in the US paid it for me on my behalf.
That's
But
amazing.
what happened was the scholarship, the school had scholarship for international students that are already in the university. So for me, when I got the when I applied for all the scholarship on their website. I didn't care. I was like, apply for everything. You never know where God is
Yeah.
gonna come. And I
I,
did. So they reached out to me. A few weeks, they didn't reach out to me. I was like, what's going on? So I was like, let me just check. So I went and checked. I had also heard that the application for the international students who at least took 2 or 3 semesters already. So I was like, oh, that's why. But then they reached out to me themselves and they said, well, we saw your application. We really don't do this. It's the first time we've ever done this where we look, even consider international student who's not even been in the US because you don't have a visa yet, right? I don't
yeah,
even,
right. Yeah.
and and they have international student in the university that already has, they're studying there. They were like, your application is so amazing. So we want to give you a shot in an interview. Doesn't guarantee anything. It's just an interview. And they sent me all the Skype information. They didn't know this girl
Skype.
don't have internet. I
You're
only have
right.
when I go to the work to the city. So I told my boss, hey, I have this interview. It's in the US, but it's at midnight because they didn't check the time difference.
Oh,
So they were like, my boss was like, well, I guess you can tell the caretaker, the person that takes his office, I would tell them that you're gonna spend the night because there's no way I can go back, to the
mm,
bill. So I did that and I did the interview and they told me that's the first time I've seen like 5 white people at the same time. Because in my village, I was like, oh,
oh my God.
they're all in their suits and stuff. I was so terrified. But then the questions that God was helping me, I was answering all the questions.
Yeah.
I felt confident. I was like, even if I don't get it, I'm happy with my answers. So
Mm,
after the interview, they were like, don't call us, don't contact. This is an intense, thorough thing. It's competitive. There's a lot of smart international students here that deserve this, blah, blah, blah. So we'll let you know. That next day, Jillian, they were like, as I came to work and I opened the email, first thing I saw, University of Illinois, congratulations. He said, we couldn't wait. They said, we were upset. We couldn't wait. You were the
oh,
perfect person. We stopped the search. We want you.
mm,
I contacted the US Embassy and I was like, hey, I know that you guys, like, I'm doing the orientation. This email is not about orientation. I just got a scholarship offer from the university and it's around the same time that I'm going to be leaving the fellowship. So the fellowship, I met President Obama August 3rd, right? And I left August 5th and the scholarship starts August 11th. And it takes 2 days to go back to Africa. So
oh wow.
the embassy was like, there's not going to be time. Come right now so we can give you a visa, second visa, student visa, because you can't use the presidential visa for anything else. So I have to
Oh,
leave come back, leave, and go back. So when I came to the US, they were like, "We never seen one person have two active visa." And I was like, "I don't know, God did it, but that's how."
Yeah.
Yeah. So after the scholarship, but family, only my auntie and sister know about the second. They didn't know about the first. They didn't know about the others didn't know about the second one because the plan was after I come back, they were like, "Oh, she's back. Let's do the marriage stuff, and then
Oh gosh.
I'll be gone in a day." So when I got here in Africa, after I met President Obama, it takes 2 days. We got here on the 5th on Friday night. Saturday is my flight. Saturday or Sunday night morning was my flight to come back. So I just left.
Wait, so you didn't ever come back or go back?
No, I went back because I had to leave the country. I have to go back. So the visa was so that the first visa was so that I exited the country already. So I have,
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know any other country except mine. So I have to go back to Africa. So what
Oh.
I did is my stuff when I was coming the first time, we planned that I bring all my stuff that I need to bring because the
Oh.
presidential get as guest is covering all those expenses, correct? So I brought all of my
Mm.
I left it at Northwestern. And my supervisor there helped all my stuff for me. So when I was going, I only took
Oh.
the gifts that I was going. So when I took the next day, I was on the flight to come back. So
Wow.
I gave them the gift, and some of them didn't get to see me. They're like, "Oh, she's back. We heard that in the news that she's back." Yeah, she's gone.
And
And
then you were just gone like
I'm
that.
here, and I'm gone.
Oh my goodness.
Find another wife.
Did you ever have any doubts that you weren't gonna be able to go?
Yes, I was
And
scared.
you were scared.
Yeah, I was terrified.
What were
Very.
you scared of?
I was scared that well, now it's not a problem, like, I could go because he's married and I'm married now with my 2 kids, but back then I was terrified. Even when I was studying here, my auntie kept telling them, "Well, let her finish her 1st semester.
Mm.
He already had this wife, like, and kids, like, what is the rush?" Of course, he took the hit. She took the hit, but she doesn't care. I'm here, I'm safe, so that's all what matters to her. But I was
Wow.
really terrified. But when I got here, I knew I'm untouchable. They can't touch me anymore. Like, what
Okay.
are they gonna do?
So
Take them.
you felt more safe once you got here. You
Yeah,
knew it was, like, secure and that, like, you and now if they said you had to come back, would you have to come back or you're
and
once you're here?
I didn't have to come back. So as long as I apply for US documents and have them, I didn't have to.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
S
Like
so
if they say pay the bride price, I could just pay it. I could just pay. I could just work and send them a few dollars and pay that if he want his bride price back.
cool. So they'll allow you to not come back physically, but pay them?
Yeah, you pay the bride price because the husband paid the bride price, right?
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
that
So interesting.
is
Um,
different conversation.
wow, yeah. So, okay, so you start college and then what does it look like? What degree did you get and what did life look like after you graduated college? What was
Yes,
this experience for you?
amazing. So many. What they call it? Like shockers. What they call that? I know they
Like
have a
culture shocks?
culture shock.
Yeah.
Like so many culture shocks. Embarrassing ones for me as well. I remember one time when the university was opening because my scholarship is a work scholarship. So I work for the university as a data analyst. I analyze their student data and they waive my
Oh.
and give me $1,000 stipend. So
Oh,
with
that's
that
cool.
stipend, I pay insurance. Student international insurance is very expensive. So like
Oh.
500 goes there. The rest of the 500 I'd use it for transportation, bus fare. So I have to get roommate so I can get lesser pay on rent and all that. And then sometimes I'm left with $50. Sometimes I'm left with $20, and that's for the whole month. So what
How
I
did
do
you make it?
so when I go to college, because I work there and I go to school there, so I work for 20 hours a week and the rest is classes. So my classes are in the afternoon, right? 2 p.m., go to class, come back, because it's flexible enough, because that's what the scholarship says, right?
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll go through the auditorium and other um, halls, and they have events there. They have crackers, they have lemonades or tea and stuff. So I'll just wait out on how do you say oh, I'm trying not to cry. The person who's organizing it is packing up. I'll go help them. Say, hey, do you need help? They're like, no. Oh yeah. And I'll say, do you need this drink? Are you gonna throw it? And I'll just take in the crackers and just put it in my bag. So that's what I will eat. Most
Wow.
of the time I boil rice and I'll just eat plain rice,
Mm.
noodles. noodles, but no, I couldn't afford it. When I could, I'll buy noodles and I'll just eat those. But most of the time is that, and the college, the department that I work for, the college is the student department. Like they process international, the student documents and all of that. So they usually have a lot of events and stuff like that. And I'll
Do
just
they
help.
they didn't have a cafeteria that you could just eat at? I mean, that's crazy to me.
No, the cafeteria is for pay. Like it goes with your tuition. Mine is
Oh
graduate,
gosh.
so it's different.
That
I mean,
is wild.
yeah, if I go to the cafeteria, I have to pay. But
Mm.
I do those in. Yeah, and one time I built a website for this lady that was starting a company, and she paid me $300. That helped me a lot. Like I put all of that
Wow.
in the whole semester. Yeah,
Wow. Oh,
yeah,
wow. So,
yeah,
okay, so you do data. So tell me about like what did life look like after you graduated?
yeah. So when I graduated, this is me learning like a it's not a what do you call what is the English word? It's not a trick, it's a life hack, right? So
Uh-huh.
when I was going to college, of course I have to have roommates, right? So what I
Yeah.
saw is people buy a house and have their kids stay there who's a student close to the
Mm.
college. In the other rooms, they will rent it out to other students. What their kids will do is re-rent the other rooms to students like me. So basically, they were making 4 or 5 times on the property rent. So, for example, like for me, the room, it'll be three students with their mattresses. So we just put our mattress because our life is all school. Like we're always at the,
Right.
so we just go back home with the bus, take the bus, go home just to sleep, right? So they were making, so I was like, this is mind blowing. I need to do this. It's like house hacking basically, but room hacking.
Yeah. So multiple people are staying in one.
As long as we know the schedule, who goes to the bathroom at what time, who takes a shower, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I took a shower at the college too. So I'm like, okay, this is the, and you get to pay like small portion of rent instead of half rent with another student, right? If you do
And
that,
how did you meet the people that you were rooming with?
the students, we have the student chat. They have the student chat
Oh.
on the
And
college
you're like, "Hey,
website.
I'm looking for a room."
Everybody's like, oh, I'm looking for a roommate. I'm looking for this
Okay.
criteria. Yeah. So it's like roommate mattress, or they connect, students connect each other. Say we need five. It's gonna be five of us. We need the fifth person. So they will look for somebody to join. So you just
Oh, okay.
save more. So when I start doing that, I get to eat good because I can save more and buy food. So that helps
Yes.
me. So I was like, when I start working, I don't know how long it's gonna take, but I'm gonna buy a house and I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
That's where it all started.
My goodness, this is so cool. Okay. So you get out of college and then where did you like what was your first job?
My
What happened
first
there?
my first job is the job I still have. So of course, as an international student, your visa expires after you graduate, of course, right?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, so that was the scary part for me. It's like, I
Oh,
don't know
geez.
that. Yeah. So what you do is you look for a company that will sponsor your visa. So let's say you find Google. Google say, well, you're good, a candidate. We want to hire you and we'll sponsor your visa so you can get green card in the next 5 years. So you work for them, even though it's lesser pay compared to somebody who already has US papers, right? But you will take
Wow.
it, right? Because it's guaranteed that you might get your green card sponsored. So you have to find companies like that. So what I was doing was
Okay.
interviewing. And if you know software engineer or computer programming, the interviews are very intense. They were like, hey, live program, like, hey, Jillian, we want you to program how to create this. And you just have to sit there and do it while they watch it. That's the interview. So I have
Wow.
multiple of those.
Oh my God.
Over there, I was like, oh, we don't sponsor visas or this or that. So it's hard, but I was like, anything than going back. So I was just
Yeah.
looking for applications. And I got this recruiter that I was working with, and he sent me this job. And I never looked because I didn't even know what CDC was because I'm just from Africa. College life is all I knew. I don't know anything else. And they gave me this application and I applied for it and the interview came and I did the interview. So the interview has so many instructions like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, blah, blah. The supervisor is going to be listening into the interview as well. So, okay, fine. I was like, wow, this job has so many, I didn't know it was the federal government. It has so many rules, but what is going on? But I didn't pay much attention. And the day that I was going to do the interview, the apartment complex I was living in, they decided to lawn the mall.
Oh,
Lawn?
mow the lawn?
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh my god."
That's always the worst. It happens to me too. Always the best of us.
Like during the interview, I started the interview. I was sitting outside, started the interview because they said somewhere quiet. So I was like, I'll go to the back porch. That's when this guy started. I was like, oh my god. So I ran I ran, and when everybody was quiet. I said, "Hello." They said, "Yeah, go ahead." Like they're frustrated, like, "Go ahead." So I went ahead. I was like, "Oh my god, this is not gonna be good." But I did my best. And then 30 minutes later, the guy called me and said, "Did you even know who you interviewed for?" I was like, "No." He was like, "CDC job." I was like, "Oh." He was like, "Do you know what CDC is?" I was like, "No, I'm Googling it right now." So it was like, well, they love you so much. They want to hire you. That's how they
Cool.
hired me. Yeah.
That
So
and okay, and so you start working for the CDC and they're gonna help you with your green card at that point. That's the
no,
agreement you guys made?
no. So they didn't know I don't. The recruiter is supposed to submit and say, "Oh, she's qualified. She has all of it." The recruiter doesn't know I don't have a green card. He said I sounded like I had a green card, or
You
like my
sounded like it.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. It's God, I guess.
Uh-huh, it is.
Was. But he was like, afterwards, he said, "You got the job." Everything. I was excited. And then he called me back and said, "Send me your green card, send me your immigration documents and your green card." But I was like, I don't have a green card. He was like, "Wait, what?" And I said, "I don't have a green card." He hung up. And I was like, "Yep, there goes that job again. I guess I'll
Mm,
interview." And he was like, "Well, they didn't mind, so you can go ahead." And yeah,
very cool.
yeah.
That's
So
so cool.
I started working on my green card, applying and all that stuff. But yeah, that's how it all happened.
So you start working and where were you living when you got this job now? Because you can't live in student housing.
No, so I moved, so at the time when I graduated, he had moved on. So I found my soulmate, my husband. We got married here.
Oh, when you graduated, you met your husband in college.
No, so I met him in college back in Africa, but he's like 2 years ahead of me. So when he graduated, he got a scholarship
Oh, cool.
and we reconnected. So
Oh,
when everything in Africa got settled, the guy moved on and whatever, my auntie was like, they were pressuring her for me to get married. So every day it's like, "Did you find somebody? Find somebody. When are we gonna talk to him?" So I was like, I guess we have to marry him, but he was ready too. But I kind of pushed it. I was like, okay, if you were gonna marry me, you need to do it now. So we got
yeah.
engaged and they did the marriage while I was in the US. So they did the traditional wedding there because the way our weddings is like I don't physically have to be there. It's both families coming together. It's like, oh, we're our daughter, his family elders and my family elder will meet, and his family will come to mine and say, "We're looking for your daughter's
Oh,
hand in marriage," and they will
oh.
accept. And they will say, "Okay, bring 5 goats or a cow or a piece of land." That's the
Mhm.
value, and they will come and provide it, and then they will set a date. So I don't necessarily have to be there.
Interesting. Okay.
Like a contract,
Yeah, I gotcha.
can do a wedding anywhere I want. But if I was there, I still wouldn't be there. I'll be home waiting for them to be done with the transaction.
Oh my
Then
goodness.
yeah. So I got married to him while we're here. So at that time was in Atlanta. So when I graduated, I came and met him in Atlanta. So that's
And
why I interview and
okay,
everything.
and so he's from Africa as well.
Yeah, he's from my country, a
And
different.
so did he get a scholarship here too?
Yeah, he got a scholarship Southern Arkansas University. He's two
That
years.
is cool.
Yeah, so he came
Okay.
2 years before I graduated. I met him in my first, second semester or so. We were in some
Wow.
mathematics classes together.
That's really cool. Okay, so then you're living with him
Yes,
as you're working. Okay.
yes, yeah.
And so tell me about the year you purchased your first real estate investment because I want to get into like I had to focus on your story because it is so remarkable and now I want to like you come to the United States, you finish your degree, you start working for the CDC, and then what did it look like when you first started purchasing real estate? And because you already had this thing in your mind, you're watching people like room
Yeah,
in these boards near colleges, so like
yeah,
you were like, "That's I'm gonna do that." So
yeah, I want to do that.
yeah,
So when I said, well, if I start work, when I start work and I start saving, I don't know how long it's gonna take, but that's the first thing I want to do. So, but again, I already always had that I want to buy a house. Like even when
yes,
I
and
had
a
like
bed.
yeah, and a
Mhm.
bed, and a bed and a nice toilet and everything.
Yeah.
I always wanted that. So it just kind of makes sense. Like God destined it to be. So what
Mhm.
happened is I'm like, okay, so I graduated 2018. 20 I had my baby 2018, the same year. I was actually 7 months pregnant during graduation time. So after I
Mm.
graduated, I came and met my husband here in Georgia, and I started applying for jobs after the baby. So I got
Mhm.
my job CDC July. and I started in September because the paperwork and everything has to take time because international. So I started September is when I started working for the CDC. And you know what happened 6 months later? COVID, 2019. It's like, so September 2019 was when I started.
Yes.
So at that time, when I'm working, when
And you're
I'm
working for the CDC, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
Which is so crazy.
COVID's happening, and my department is infectious disease, so I was on the response team as well. So it was intense, like a lot of work, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., still working. We did amazing. Like my
Mm-hmm.
team was amazing. So I'm the data scientist, data lab scientist. So I analyze the data. But what happened was like during that time when I have to wake up early, that I'm walking and stuff, I'm listening to podcasts, anything real estate, anything free. I can't afford. I just buy cheaper books, real estate books, and I'll just read because I love reading already. It's part of my life since
Mm-hmm.
Africa. So it made sense then. I was like, when I'm ready, now it's just about the money. So from the podcasts and all the interviews on real estate gurus, what I hear from them is connect with the local banks, connect with the local banks. And I'm like, well, I know I can't afford properties in Georgia. This is the way I live. Where else do I know from Africa? From Africa, I only know Illinois, right? So I was like, okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
look at houses there because I went to school there. So I started looking for properties, and anytime I see a market that's great, but the properties are expensive, I keep going up away. So I do 30 minutes from Chicago, 1 hour from
Oh,
Chicago,
okay.
2 hours from Chicago, 3 hours. So I'm seeing smaller college towns, and I started looking there because I see properties under 100,000. So those I can afford. So what I did is for those small towns, I put Google all the local banks in those, and I'll start calling them. Most of them hang up on me. Some don't
Oh.
understand my accent, which is understandable. If you think my accent is thick now, 4 years ago is worse. And I don't blame them. Some of hang up on some are like, what's your credit score? And I'm like, what is a credit score? Like, what that is. I was like, go research on. I was like, so I got one bank to listen to me, and the lady is now the vice president of the
That's so
lending
cool.
side at the time. It was like, well, I see that you're very excited about this. Like you read a lot of books and stuff. You're enthused. I don't know how to say the word. Enthused.
Enthusiastic.
Yeah. So what I would advise you is you're like a newborn baby in the US because your social security shows that you're only like 2 years or whatever because it's
Mm.
new, right? And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, so that's what the credit and all that. He said, go get a Discover card. You work for the CDC, right? Go get a secured line of credit, do all of that, and then come back in 3 years. I said, okay, fine. I went and did everything she said with the credit, and I came back and I was like, I'm gonna find a deal that's so amazing that they're not gonna be able to reject it. So that's
Mhm.
what I did. I kept looking for deals, analyzing. 'Cause I'm a mathematician, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
Analyze
you
deals.
know numbers.
Yeah, so doing that all night is amazing. Every time I'm free, I'm on Zillow looking at properties, analyzing and say, oh, that's a good deal, or that's a bad deal, or this is gonna cash flow. So I do that every day. I'm analyzing and stuff. So
And what are you looking for? Is there anything particular, like, when you see, like, a good deal, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for something that I can put a small down payment on, and it's gonna cash flow a lot, but also value add, like potential. So
Okay.
if a normal traditional rent tenant is getting 700 or whatever, uh, for a 2 bedroom house, I can get. I'm looking at something close to a college town that I can multiply that because I'm going through back to where it all started. So that's what I.
Yeah.
So the more rooms, the better. So I was looking at 5 unit, 5 bedrooms, 6 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bed. That's what I was looking for more, right? But close. So
Mhm.
I'm looking at how close it is to college, how this. So I'm looking at all of those options, right? So again, I went back and I was like, I found a deal that the owner was going through a divorce. They have this property that they bought for 100 and something years ago, but it needs some work. They still have tenants in there, but I know it needed some work. So I got it under contract for, they listed it for 75 or 70 something. I got it under contract for 52K. I was like, analyzed it, did a whole
Wow.
presentation, and I called the lady again. I said, I know you said not to call, come back later, but I've done everything. I've opened a credit card with CDC, secure credit card, put 300 in there, and I'm paying off the utility bill slowly from there. I'm doing this with the Discover card as well. Here's all the records. And I found this rental property. It's only 52,000. They're desperate to sell. They just want to sell and just settle. They don't care
Yeah.
about profit, anything. It's already rented. It's bringing in on paper. This is what it shares. Is bringing in. Here's all the information. And it was like, well, I can submit it to the underwriting team, but it's no guarantee. Like, I don't have the final say. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll take my chances.
And how
And they,
long has it been since she told you go get a credit card and build a credit?
maybe like 1 month.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe
I
one
love
month,
it.
2 months, yeah. So then I went and then she was like, message me, call me back and said, well, the underwriting team said is good to go. Because I even calculated how much my mortgage payment would be. I told them I have 8,000 right now. Actually, I have less than 8,000 then, but I said by the time we close, I will have 8,000 then. Because I
Mhm.
calculated, because this is how much I make. This is my pay, this is my expense. I break down everything for them. And I was like, worst case scenario, even one tenant pay, that can pay mortgage for 2 months. Because
Mhm.
bedroom is 750, another two bedrooms like seven something, and the other one is six something. So I was like, worst case scenario, one tenant pay, I'll be able to cover the mortgage and more. And the mortgage is only $354. I
Oh,
said, yeah, worst case
wow.
scenario, pay. Yeah, it's 52,000. I got the seller to do the closing cost. So I'm only
Perfect.
down payment. And he came back and said, well, the underwriting team gave it a green light. Send us this, send us that, the rest of the documents that they need. And I sent it to them. Because I didn't have a green card. I didn't have any. So they,
Mhm.
my immigration papers that I had then. And that's how I started.
Wow. One good story after another is like so cool. So you basically buy, is it a triplex?
It's a triplex, yes. Three, four.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so you'd buy in by Illinois somewhere
Yes.
for 52,000 with only $8,000 in your pocket, basically.
Yes.
Okay, so which is like so like like unheard of. I love this.
Yeah.
And you basically educated yourself by listening to podcasts, reading books, and in the real estate field.
Yes.
Is there any like podcast or book that really you would recommend for people that are listening? I'm curious.
Yeah. So based on my research, all the properties that I see, all the real estate podcasts that I see, goes back to Bigger Pockets. So I
Yeah.
joined this community, but
Yeah.
you have to pay a fee. I don't have that fee. So what I do is every Wednesday they have this thing webinar that they do, but it's like a sales webinar basically. But they do give you a little bit, and then
I gotcha.
yeah, at the end. So every Wednesday, it's me with my notebook taking notes, and any other podcasts that they interview a guest speaker, which I turned out to be a guest speaker
That's
eventually.
so cool.
360. But I was like, yeah, my episode 761, I believe. But I used to watch those, so I'm so inspired. I'm like, wow, people's stories. So I'm like always like learning
Yeah.
leave some free information that they and of course the Bigger Pockets books that they have for sale. So listen to those. I listen to some this guy, I think his name was Jesse, and he does a lot of Section 8. So my rental was mostly Section 8 because it's COVID. So I was like, if
Mm.
I get guarantee money, so the banks,
Oh.
that was one of the approaches I pitched to the bank, and I said, if I do Section 8, of course, guarantee rent. So there's no way that I'm gonna struggle because they also conflicted me doing it out of state.
Yeah.
Until I have to remove that doubt that I can handle this. And it all came crashing down after I closed on the property. Realized that the agent lied, the numbers that they were talking about, the one tenant had already left. One of them hasn't paid for months. This is April now, 2020, April
Oh,
11th.
no.
And the one upstairs hasn't paid 1 month, was about to leave. So what I did is the one that already left, the unit is not that bad. So we just cleaned it out, me and my property manager, and I rented that out right away. And then the one downstairs hasn't paid for months, haven't even paid the previous owner months, owes the previous owner, but now it's my property, so the money should come to me. So because it's COVID, they had reliefs for people that are behind rent, but the landlord has to apply with the tenant, and the money
Oh.
goes to the landlord. So I applied for that. I got 8,000 and some change, close to 9,000. I took that and renovated the others and rented them out, and then made it cash flow. But then when I started cash flowing, my property manager now started stealing the money.
Oh
So
my goodness.
yeah, so he will send me, I mean, the cash flow is coming, the tenants are paying, the money is coming in, but it's going to his account and then he will pay me, right? That's how property management work, right? He will take care of everything he needs to take to give me the balance. But then the balance every time is coming short, like shorter, shorter, shorter. And I'm like, something is off. Like the receipts give me, oh, we need to do this. We needed to do that. Chester said this. Chester is the contractor he used. Chester this, Chester that. The receipts are there, so I can't really confirm like if it's true or not. But something is telling me this is off. Like you
Yeah.
raised. I've done the theory part. It's just the practical part, right? So I know
Mhm.
that are not making sense. So at night I would just sit down, try to make the numbers make sense, and they were not. So I was like, what, you're a data scientist, put it to work. So what I did,
Yeah.
how many Chesters can be in one small town? And this is what I did. Of course, contractors used to be on Facebook. I contacted all of them, and I got this Chester guy, and I contacted him, called. He was like, "Well, I'm on a roof job, but when I get down, it's gonna be late. I can call you then or tomorrow." I said, "No, call me late. I work late. It's fine." So he called me, and I was like, "Well, I'm the owner of property, blah blah blah." I gave him the address. He said, "Yeah, I work on that property." And I said, "Well, can you tell me if these receipts, like, did you do all this work? Like, it didn't make sense." And I contacted all the contractors on other platform. They say it's not making sense. Like, it's
Mm-mm.
way. And he was like, "Well, this receipt right here is for property that. This receipt is property this. This receipt is property like all the other properties that I don't own. I only own one property. So it's giving me the receipts." He said, "Well, these receipts are receipts that I work, like I did this work, but for that property, for other property, for that property, different address." So it
Oh
turns out
no.
giving me there. So I fired him, but I said, but the contractor was like, "I'm an honest person. I don't want people's money. I've never taken from anybody. I like to be honest. If you want to do a three-way just to clear my name, I will." I was like, "No, no need." So I fired him, and I contacted the contractor afterwards, and I told him I got rid of him. But I said, "I'm an investor. I'll be looking to buy more. If I see anything, would you be willing to work with?" He said yes. He's been working with me ever since. Made millions of dollars with him.
No
As we
way.
on my 12th unit right now. Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so cool. And that is really cool. So, okay, so how much money did you make on your property the first?
The first year I don't remember because everything went back to him.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I like.
you reinvested it then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So what I was doing is whatever. So when I started getting my full amounts, like I started managing myself. I got another property manager to do it, and I was paying her 7%. And I was, because it's all Section 8, and I was getting like a lot of. I was getting like $2,000 or 1965 or something, close to 2,000. So
Did
I
you
was making.
feel like, "Oh my goodness, I don't want to hire another one because they might steal my money?"
No, so I had to because I'm working intensely for CDC with the COVID. I needed somebody, but I knew that the property for me, it's like, oh, the problem is solved. The property is fixed. It's bringing in money. I just
Yeah.
need to find the
Okay.
right person. So it's not like, oh, this is not gonna work out for me, blah blah blah. I just need to find somebody. If it wasn't my work was intense, I would have been able to manage it myself because it's Section 8 tenants. I'm still getting the money from the government, regardless of if
Mm,
the has maintenance or not. So that's guaranteed money. So I was like, I need to do this again, right?
mhm.
I started saving up some money, and what I'm getting right now from the CDC, like all my savings, because I didn't have any expense. I didn't know how to drive, so I don't have a car. I take the bus to go to work and take the train, motor train, and then the CDC bus would pick me up from the train station. So I don't have any. I
Wow.
don't know how to drive. I started
What did
driving.
you do with your is a son or a daughter that you had?
I met a family from Africa at an Indian store, grocery store, and they had me and my husband speaking our language. And they came to me and said, "Are you guys from?" And I said, "Yes." And they were like, "Well, our mom is from there. We're born in the US, but our mom heard you speak. So we thought to come and say hi." So I was like, I didn't know anybody except my husband here. And I was like, "Oh my God, can I come see you guys?" They were like, "Yeah, come." So when I hang out with
Oh.
them, at that time, I was still looking for a job. I haven't had the CDC job yet. So when I met them, so after I got the job, the lady has daughters that are like just finished high school. They're about to go to college, and they love my son so much, and they just watch him. And I'll just
Oh,
pay the.
that's
I'll pay
cool.
$100, 150 every Friday. So she
Oh,
was basically watching the kid was ago. So that saved me. So I didn't have
another
any.
God moment.
That was my only expense and groceries. That's it. So I saved everything I have from the job, and then I just started investing. So I was like, where else can I invest in that I'm gonna find a deal like this? I'm not finding those deals
Mhm.
anymore in the market because that was a one-time deal, right? Good deal. So from the podcasts and from the networking events that I watch, join online and
Mhm.
stuff, they always talk about, hey, there are a lot of California investors going to Cleveland. Cleveland's hot. A lot of people buying Cleveland, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. I was like, okay, let me go join. So I went and joined all Cleveland, Ohio networks and also in bigger pockets. Now I'm paying $39. And I joined, and then I just connected to all real estate investors and groups there because they have individual groups there. And I just introduced myself. Like I'm very like I know how to like introduce. I'm good with people. Like I
Yeah.
just people respectfully, and I get the same, thanks to God. But like, I introduced myself and I said, well, I'm a new investor. I'm looking to buy in Cleveland. I heard everybody's buying there and it's great cash flow. What would you guys advise? So a lot of people say, don't buy here, don't buy here. So the places they're saying buy, I can afford. These are over 100,000 or
Mhm.
close to 100. I want something way less, like down
Mhm.
a little bit. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead, analyze it so much that I get a good deal that is not in a D area, but also I can afford A area. It's in between. So I found this property that the owner bought it from a I think an auction. And what she
Mm.
does is she has a contracting company. She fixes it and she sell it. Put tenants in there and she sell it. So when I bought the property, it was already tenant occupied and it's already
Mm.
fixed for 68,000. I went
Oh,
back to the bank and the bank is already happy with the cash flow from the other property and how I turned things around. And they were like, yeah, it's a done deal. 68,000, fully occupied,
cool.
bringing in 1350 or 1360. My mortgage is $254.82.
Oh,
254.82 cents
so
a month.
cool.
So, and the tenants are paying all the utilities. The only thing I'm paying is the sewer. So everything is in their name. And I get 1350. So after my mortgage, everything I cash flow about 1,000 and some change.
That's so cool.
And then
Oh,
I just keep going.
and so you just keep going. How many years has it been now
It's
since
been
your
four
first property?
since 4 years, 2020, and now 2024, I'm at 154 rental units.
You're at 154?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so how did you scale so quickly?
Yes. So 2021, Airbnb, everybody's like, oh, Airbnb traveling because people are tired being at home and it's booming.
Yeah.
Everybody's traveling. Everybody want to travel. Everyone want to do like go out with their family and book a place. And me living in Atlanta, of course, I always join all investor groups and stuff. I see people say, oh, you can do Airbnb without owning a property. You can do that stuff.
Mhm.
And I said, well, I'm already an investor. This time I think I own 7 or 8 already, but they're all on Section 8. And I said, I already know how real estate works. Like I can
Mhm.
do it too. So I started, I was like, how about I buy and do this same model in a smaller town? Because they're travel nurses and all these people
Mhm.
say, oh, we rent a travel nurse in Atlanta. So I reached out to the bank and they were like, oh, this is not gonna work in a small town. That's just Atlanta stuff. That's people not nobody's coming to these small towns after COVID. And I said, well, I still want to do it. I found a property that was listed for 145. It had a fire incident at this time, I already have multiple Section 8, so I'm still cash flowing. The cash
Right.
flow moved from 2,000 to 3,000 to almost 10,000, right? So I know every month I'm getting that amount, and I
On
still
top of
saving
your
my
job.
CDC income because I don't have my expenses stayed the same. Only the uh,
Oh.
expenses that I had. That's what I still don't know how to drive. I still never bought a car. I still use the bus and the train. Nothing fancy. So all my income, I was saving it, saving it, saving
Mhm.
it. And then I was like, okay, I need to find a property that I can do the same thing with. So I found a property close by the hospital. So I'm looking for properties up very close to the hospital. I
Mm.
found this 8 unit apartment. It was boarded up. Actually, the owner had a fire incident. I think one of the tenants started a cigarette, and the fire incident happened in one or two of the units. So he's
Oh,
going
wow.
violations for like 2 years with the city, and he finally got it done. But the wife was like, "Nope, I'm done with this. Let's sell it." So they
Mhm.
listed at 145. I got it under contract for 125, but I ended up getting 5,000 closing, so I could say 120. And the bank was like, well, we knew you could. They told me this later. They were like, we knew you could afford the mortgage because it was 1,200. We know that one of your rentals could pay that income. That's why we never thought it was gonna work out. That's what he said.
Ah.
So when I got so the same contractor, I asked him to come and take a look and give me a scope of work. He did. He gave me 80,000, so 10,000 per unit. And I presented to the bank. They were like, okay, we'll go ahead and approve it. But they say in the back of their head, they were like, it's not gonna work out. But then I told them like the method. They were like, "Oh, that works in the small city. It's not gonna work here." I was like, "It's a hospital. Nurses are gonna come." And
Mm.
I was I got the unit. So what I did is they were like, "Oh, 1 month, no mortgage, just interest, or 2 months or something like that to finish renovation." Because my
Mm.
contract is about 2 or 3 months, whatever. So what I did is we started with the units that have less work. and we just started up there and we started renting it. So it has front intro and back intro. And then I buy stuff from Amazon, couches, beds, and send it. My contractor will go and put all of it together because they live in the unit. The same contractor. He came with his guys and live in two of the units, and they stay there. The
While
fridge,
they build the others.
yeah, I stock the fridge with pizzas and all the foods and everything that they need, and they just stay there and work their way out. They work all the way to night, and they wake up early to do the work. Within 3 weeks, some units were already ready. So once I ordered all the mattress and big ticket items, they fixed all of them. I went to Home Depot, what's it called, Michaels and Kohl's, and I buy pillows and stuff, and I furnish it, and I rent it on Airbnb. I rent the minute I list it, it gets rent. I list it, get rent. So
This is
while
on Airbnb.
Airbnb and
Ugh,
Funniest Finder for travel nurse and
yeah.
business professionals. It was just getting rent 3 months, 6 months. So it's already booked because I knew that before the tenants come, it would have been done. So that like they say an inquiry from New York will say, I just accepted a offer at this hospital for 3 to 6 months with possible extension. I'll be coming in 2 weeks. So I know in 2 weeks they'll be done with that unit. But I only have 3 units and I list them and I make them available. And I say, oh, we have multiple. So I was taking booking.
Wow.
I got up to 40,000 in 3 months with just bookings. Yeah,
Wait,
before I started paying the bank any money.
wait, you made 40,000?
Yeah, yeah. So for 2 bedrooms, I was getting,
Wow.
yeah. So inquiries like I would get agencies that contact me and say we have a client that want us to place 3 people for a 3 bedroom home, and they pay high premium. The insurance companies will reach out to me as well and say we have a family that we need to place there, or we have this. So I was
Oh,
making like one unit 4,000, another unit 3,000. Like the studios, I was listing it for 2,005, 3,000. I was getting because it's already furnished and comes with everything.
yeah. Oh my
Yeah. So
goodness.
my
That is
commission.
amazing.
Yeah.
So have you ever, I have a few questions. Have you ever done a deal with any investors, or do you only rely on yourself?
It's all me. I'm scared.
Oh, oh, you're
Yeah.
scared of that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
I want to
And
do it, but I'm very terrified.
yeah, and because you have so many properties, do you have multiple property managers or you have one? How does that work?
So for every state that I have property managers there. So some property
Okay.
managers are midterm rentals, some are short-term rentals managers, some are Section 8 rentals. So I was managing most of them until eventually I'm putting the tenants in the wrong units. And I was like, yeah, you need to stop
Oh,
now.
oh no.
That's when I was like hired, and then I don't even know anything about the units, like who goes where, what unit is this, how many units this. So I don't remember anymore. Except I have to check and go through my notes. But yeah.
And do you just keep, because I mean, you analyze data. So do you just keep track of the data as it comes in with
Yeah.
all those properties?
Yeah, so for data and the money comes to me. So all I do signing the leases and the account information, everything is mine. The rest, like the showings,
Mhm.
the maintenance, all the hot stuff, they do it.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
feel like many people listen to this and be like, I want to do that, right? But I want to know, has this been an easy route to take, or like what are some of the bigger challenges that you faced in this
The
whole, I
biggest
mean, you have a lot of properties.
Yeah, the bigger challenges for me is at the beginning I could have scaled faster, but I was trying to do everything myself. Like I wasn't letting go. When I started letting go, because I lost so much money trying to manage it myself. Like
Oh.
some nurses were like, I'm checking in today and I still haven't received the contract. Like,
Oh, okay.
oh, I'm asking them the same question over again. How many people are coming? Are you gonna have your family come? Like I was doing too much, and then I'll have a lot of people cancel. So I started delegating,
Mhm.
delegating,
To a
and
property manager.
a property manager, yes. And then also hire more contractors for different projects. So my main contractor does the heavy rehabs, the properties that needs gut rehab. He does that because I trust him 100%. I mean, he has my credit cards. He will go buy
Mhm.
material from them. Sometimes he saved me a lot of money. He would go and say, "Oh, I just saved you 5,000. Oh, I just saw this material, tiles, or vinyl flooring going for cheap at Lowe's, and I just bought us more for next project." Like I trust him that much. So all of my gut rehabs will be him, and then I have maintenance also, the ones that do just routine maintenance, and then I have ones that will do light rehab. So
That are
properties that
more
are
close to those properties, I'm assuming.
yeah, the properties that are about to be like Section 8, like I could just do 5, 10,000, and 1 week I could get a Section 8 tenant in. those I have other contractors that work on it. And for every city, I have a contractor there. So I
Okay.
don't buy.
Every city you have a property.
Yeah, so I'll buy around the city. So like Central Illinois, all the properties around other cities around there have multiple there. So I
And
have
here
property page.
and what I heard you say is that like or from what you kind of talked about is that you really take care of the people that you're
Yeah.
working with.
Oh yeah.
That's what I heard. Like,
Yeah.
sounded like your contractor kind of got to live there for free. You paid for their food, and
So
they work hard for you.
it's not like they want to leave there. They just he's so happy that he wants to do that
Yeah.
for me. I was like, we need to turn this over. The bank doesn't think this is gonna work out, but I
Yeah.
need to get rent this to this. Yeah, but he does that just to help me out. Sometimes he's like, my wife needs me to go this weekend, so they will work Monday to Friday and go home
Yeah.
on Saturday on Friday. So let's say
Mhm.
they're working and they send me pictures and say, this is what we done so far. And I'm like, wow, this like the picture you sent me in the morning and the night's totally different. Lunch is on me or dinner is on me. Like
That's so
those
cool.
and things that I don't want to talk about because when you help people, you don't want to tell I did this, I did that. But like family stuff, like financially and other things. So it's not
Mm,
just business side. Like his wife knows me, his family knows me, mine know him too. So it's
that's
like a
really cool.
relationship now. It's not like director investor relationship. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool. What has been because you own different kinds of properties, right? You have like the Section 8, you have sounds like some short-term rentals like Airbnbs,
Mhm.
some kind of intermittent or like I don't know what you would call them
Yeah,
when people
housing.
yeah, like so what is like your favorite so far? What has been your favorite type of property to have?
My favorite, that's hard. I I would say the ones with travel nurses and business professionals. So a lot of people, when I say travel nurse, it's not just the nurses, it's medical professionals.
Mhm.
So whether it's a clinic or a rehab center or a hospital, or children's hospital, those type. So some of them are radiologists, they're not nurses. Some of
Mhm.
them are doctor's assistant or dentist assistant. So they're not necessarily just travel nurses. The medical field, the experts have been traveling for a long time before COVID and all that happened. People just didn't know about them.
Yeah.
But my favorite, I would say, uh, it's hard, but Section 8 is constant money. It's like
Mm. Mhm.
I buy 60,000 homes and I'm getting 1,600. The
Yeah.
cash flow alone, like your debt to income ratio is like that high because your the property debt is lower, but the cash flow is really high. So I went from 2,000 a month cash flow, 3,000 to 10,000 to one city bringing me 10, 12,000, just one city, and then another city. So with that, I could just wait one more month to buy two other properties because I have 20,000 just coming
Mm.
from one city or two cities. So it's easier for me, and I don't fix my property to say, oh, it's a Section 8 property. I fix it to be livable. Like
Yeah.
I know how poverty is like, so I've been poor. So I
Yep.
know like how to treat people well. Like I'm not gonna give you just anything just to say. I'll put
Yep.
research slides there. If the landlords, I look at my competition, if they're giving Section 810 and this type of property, because I'm studying data, I'm studying what they have out there. When I list my property, I get 50 applicants in 1 2 hours
Wow.
instant because of the way I renovate. I'll go an extra 2,000, 3,000 just to make the aesthetic nice, like nicer last fixtures, the painting nicer. I'll go make the bathroom sink nicer. Like I'm not gonna give you just the ordinary thing. Does that make sense? I
Yes.
do durable stuff. Like I'm not gonna do carpet. I'll do carpet in the bedroom, but I'll do vinyl in the kitchen and vinyl in the bathroom. So I'll do those extra things. And I know people love, especially women, us kitchen and bathroom is important. So I invest more on those so I get that return in the back end. So a lot of people say, but you're not saving money. No, I'm saving money. Actually, I'm charging way more. Multiply by that 5 years times 12 months each. That's how I look at it. I'm not looking at it as, oh, you're just gonna come out 5, 10,000 out of pocket more just for
Mm.
Section 8 tenant. Yes, I will. Because
Mhm.
I'm gonna get that money and my rental is always gonna be rent. I don't have to have in coming in and out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And do you feel
yeah,
like
I
there's
would
a
say
lot
Section 8 and then rental.
yeah, okay. Do you feel
Yeah.
like there's a lot less turnaround with that too? Like, as a
With Section 8?
yeah, like, 'cause you keep the same renters for longer, maybe?
Yes, so a
Okay.
Section 8 tenant is not gonna leave. A good one's not gonna leave in 5, 7 years. Most of them will stay up to 12, 14. Some of the properties that I bought that came tenant occupied, I mean, it's still cash flow. It's cash flow. I could have just said, yeah, I'll just keep you like that because you've been staying like this for years, right? No, I'll come and do little renovation. I'll start with your bathroom, then I'll do your kitchen. And you're so
Mhm.
happy because those were your problems. Now you're not leaving anywhere.
Right.
4 years now, they're still there. Yeah, I only
That's
had one
great.
Section 8 to leave, and the Section 18 and left because their son had a scholarship in a college town and they have to move. And she was like, I wish I could take the house with me. And I was like, oh, that's not possible. I think that's the only tenant left to that Section 8. Yeah.
That's cool. So you've
Yeah.
accomplished a lot in your life already. I wanna know, how does this
Mhm.
feel? How does it feel
It
for you?
feels amazing. It
Yeah.
feels unreal. Sometimes I'm like, this is you.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I'll be happy. A happy moment will just turn to a sad moment for me.
Yeah.
Like, my husband's like, what are you crying? I'm like, this is a girl that, and I'll just tell because like the abuse, it comes in fragments. Sometimes like I'll smell something and I remember
Mhm.
something happened to me when I had that smell, or you know what I mean, like a
Mhm.
sound or something, or like I'm driving, I see somebody with boxes and I start crying,
Mhm.
or smell something, I smell pee and I start crying because I'm
Mhm.
remembering before, or I hear, like, it's different things. Sometimes I'm watching
Mhm.
movies and it takes me somewhere else and I'm crying, and sometimes it's supposed to be happy moments, but I'm crying because of, you know, like my son tells me, "I love you, mommy." I've never heard that before, so it's like I'm
Mm.
crying because that means so much to me because I've never called
Yeah.
anyone mommy or
Mm.
say to somebody I love. So those kind of things, like
And they're
I'm
beautiful.
great. Yeah, they're beautiful. I'm grateful, but yes, I
Yeah.
work
And I
hard
would
to
say, like, that
survive.
those are worth it tears. Like,
Yeah,
like, it's hard, right, where you've been, but, like, how beautiful where you are and what
mhm,
you do in the world as well. Like, is there
yeah,
any, like, a key takeaway that you hope our listeners will really gain from your story?
yeah. So a key takeaway is, if a girl like me can do it, anybody can do it. You just need to you just need to know that it's possible for you too. Like, it doesn't, there are people that their conditions worse than mine. There are kids that were raped multiple times and
Mhm.
things happened to them, when came from a war zone. It's different. Like, no matter how your situation is, there's somebody who has it worse than you.
Mhm.
You see what I mean? So
Mhm.
even for me, I'll say I'm grateful that I didn't get killed, or something worse than what happened to me
Yeah.
didn't happen to me, right? So that's how I look at it, and just knowing that it can happen to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, looking ahead, what are your future goals and aspirations, both in real estate and your personal life? I'd love to know.
My personal, I still have my 9 to 5, and people keep asking me, why do you still have your 9 to 5? I love my job. It's like I work so hard studying all this hard time.
I totally
They were like, money. It's not about the money. Like, I make that in a day, but still, I still want to work. But yeah, so for me, I don't like to say, oh, get one real estate tutor and fire your boss or quit your job. I'm not that type. You're not gonna hear
Mm-mm.
that from. If you
Mhm.
can keep your 9 to 5 and still add that income and buy more properties, I would. That's what I did in 2021, 2022. LabCorp reached out to me. They've been messaging me all the time. The recruiters, we want you to work for me, work for us. You can leave CDC. CDC will give you double. And I'm like, nope. If you want, I can work remote and I can still
Mhm.
get a job. So I did. I saved all the money and buy more real estate. That's what I did, and scale
Did you
faster.
really? You work
I
2 jobs?
I work 2 jobs. I will put the CDC laptop and the other LabCorp laptop. I did two different things, so they're not the same. It's statistics,
Wow.
because I have a degree in mathematics and computer science. So I was doing statistical programming for them, data science for I'm a workaholic.
Oh, wow.
Came from, there's no opportunities. So for me, seeing these opportunities, like, why not? Like, I would do it until I can't do it anymore. And that's what I did. 2 years later, I left it. I was like, it's not worth it. I'll keep the one I love, and which is the CDC one, and just keep buying. But it helped me buy and scale. So I was buying portfolios. Like, I'll buy a landlord selling 5 properties,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I'll just buy those. So I'll just buy those and just grow and just put them
Wow.
all on Section 8. And the contractors just keep renovating as we go. But
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
I forgot the question you asked me. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, what are your future aspirations and goals, like, in your personal life and in real estate, is what
So
I was wondering.
my personal life, I went to my husband. I hope he's not here hearing me, but 2 babies. I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I want
Mhm.
more kids because I love kids, but he's like, "Nope, we're done. We're done." So my aspiration is to get pregnant and have another baby. That's what
I love it. Well,
I
I
don't know.
wish
I just
that
think I failed.
well, I wish that upon you. If you want it, girl, I know you're gonna get it because that's how your life has worked out for you.
So he'll be like, "We're done." I'm like, "Yeah, we're done. We have 2 more." But that's my personal aspiration, and of course, help out more orphans. I actually have a
Mhm.
nonprofit. I teach, not teach. I'm used to saying teach. I help out students that are going through similar stuff or similar
Oh,
background. I don't like to talk about it because it's so personal to me. But now my friends are like, you have to share so people
yes.
can maybe sponsor them as
Yeah,
well.
please
But
do.
I do it personally. It makes me feel so good. And then for professional um, aspirations, I always wanted to buy a self-storage facility. I've been trying to break into that business for like the last 2 years, and I finally did this year. I bought my first self-storage facility, so that's amazing. So I want to scale on that, more commercial deals.
Well, very cool. Okay. So that's something
Yeah.
different for you. That is super cool. Well, I am just, this has been so much fun. I feel like
Mhm.
I've learned so much. I want to actually continue to learn from you as well. So, how can myself and listeners connect with you, learn more about you, learn about your nonprofits, your programs, whatever you do?
Yeah. So you can find me on social media at Building Wealth from Rentals, or you can go to my website. So on Instagram is Building Wealth from Rentals. On TikTok it's the same. There's a lot of scamming going on TikTok. So make sure you don't see a page and you're like, oh, that's Yamu. Anybody that
Oh,
asks you for money, it's not me. Nobody for money.
wow.
So but find I'm more active on Instagram, Building Wealth from Rentals, on YouTube as well, Building Wealth from Rentals, or you can go to my website, suburproperties.com.
Cool. All right. Well, I can't wait to go check those all out. I'm so excited. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for coming on here and getting vulnerable with us today and just sharing your
Um,
remarkable journey and like so much. I've learned so much myself. So I'm just so glad we got to do this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This means a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me and for a safe space and having me cry on your podcast.
Well, you know what? We are all here for it, like emotions are beautiful,
Mm,
and like it just means that that means so much to you, and it shows your passion and your love and I honor that and I'm
yeah.
so glad that God has blessed you with everything cuz I know that you're the type of person that will give back and do what the good in the world. So, more power to you.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
of course. Well, to our listeners, we hope you found this episode as enlightening and motivating as we did. Be sure to connect with Yamu online and check out her mentorship programs and YouTube and go follow her on Instagram. I know I am. Until next time, remember to stay true to yourself and keep embracing the journey of growth and connection. Hey there, it's Jillian from Life Without Secrets. Ever feel like you and your partner aren't quite on the same page? Well, you're not alone, and that's exactly why I created our latest issue of Truthful magazine. It's packed with insights and stories about bridging that gap and finding a deeper connection. We're diving into real conversations about needs, feelings, and how honest dialogue can rekindle that closeness that you've been missing. Why not explore this together? Go grab your free copy right now at lifewithoutsecrets.com and turn those pages into shared moments. Can't wait for you to dive in and share your thoughts with me.